Hey, you know how serendipities work? And are you aware sometimes that when things start getting in your way, when you're trying to do a particular thing and keep getting in your way, that can be an indication that there's some opposition to what it is you're trying to do or say? I have had a real challenge here on this pair of journals that I want to record. They are on judgment and helping us see the contrast between judgment and unconditional love. So it's been a while since I ran into such opposition to getting something done. Let's see what's said here that maybe some don't want us to hear. These are from March 22nd, and the Mayan day was 3 Death or Transformer. Okay, let's look at reality. True reality, not the fake thing most of us take to be real in the 3D world. In the world of the actually real, judgment doesn't even exist. There is absolutely no judgment in heart, period. And there is no judgment in source. It just doesn't exist there. This is one of the most powerful knowings I have. And I capitalize the K in knowing just to illustrate that it's not a mind thing. It's direct from heaven, from heart, and from experience. Now, often we'd like to have little tips and hints and ways to recognize when we're functioning in higher consciousness. And just as importantly, when we're not. This is the right use of mind, or it can be, and it depends. For the one who has chosen to see it through to the bitter end, through the challenge that mind will put up to remain in charge, such tips can be wonderful, can be rightly used. So where are you in that transition? Are you making the move from the head to the heart? Is mind still giving you much of a hard time? It will, you know. It has no intention of willingly losing its power to run your life. You will have to stand in your strength, in heart, to reclaim your power. In the process, you will detach from mind to a greater extent than may now even seem possible. This will work greatly to your advantage, yet it's not easily won. Be alert for this. When the mind finally realizes just how deadly serious you are about reclaiming your sovereignty and power over it and the world, it will suddenly shift. Seeing that its adversarial way of dealing with this issue hasn't worked well, it will shift modes. Suddenly, mind will be all cooperation. It will work with you, or seem to. It will be supportive of your heart's desires. At least, that's what it wants you to believe. That's how things will seem. Stay in heart always, but even more so during this particularly challenging time, for mind is most likely lying while just trying to survive with whatever shreds or shards of power it can retain. Be ever suspicious of mind, even when it seems to be cooperative. Mind took me in for a while on that journey. As you stick to heart, you will notice something odd. You may find mind stroking your ego or encouraging it in some way. Now, mind does the best it can to imitate heart's ways, but its problem is that it just doesn't have a clue about heart. It really doesn't. Mind is designed to know all things from the outside. Mind knows about things where heart is those things. Its knowing comes from within them. A very big difference. As you remain in heart, you will be able to see through mind's attempts to stay on in some sort of pseudo or minor control. It will try to stroke your ego, thinking it will be pleasing to heart. Now remember, mind hasn't a clue about heart. This will be, or it'll become obvious if you're watching, if you don't trust. Okay, not to make too big a thing of it. That wasn't my main point. Judgment was. What I'd like to suggest is that the presence of any sort of judgment in your life is a clear indication of the workings of mind. And I'm not saying that's evil. I'm just saying that's what that does. If your mind is at that stage where it is truly in the back seat and accepting of its lesser position, then this is much easier. Mind will simply report on itself then, letting you know when you're in mind, believe it or not. If you're still in the midst of transition, however, and most of us are, not quite yet thoroughly in heart with a willing and supportive mind, then just be more alert about what mind reports. No big deal. Heart itself is quite able to give you the alert that you've slipped over into mind. You'll get the hang of it soon enough. Meanwhile, though, for those still looking for tips and tricks that could be useful, I'd say a really big one to be on the lookout for is all evidence of judgment operating in your life. And that means judgment of any and all kinds, including and especially self-judgment, which is one of the worst poisons of mind. And I'm not saying that mind is trying to poison you. I'm saying that mind itself has been poisoned with that. Where we've got to start with this, or rather the best place to start, is by fully and completely accepting this non-judgment reality as your belief. Set out a whole section of your belief garden with every color and type of the judgment-free flowers you can find. Plant and tend them carefully. Water them often. Watch for weeds. Judgment has slipped into every cranny and nook of our society here in the West. It's everywhere. You'll encounter it not just often, but continuously. While you're growing your first crop of these judgment-free flowers, start noticing judgment all around you, wherever you look. See how judgmental people are and how most of our organizations are set up with judgment as a major part of their foundation. Immerse yourself in simple awareness of judgment everywhere. Now, this may be a bit unpleasant for a little while. You could also choose to enjoy it. We can enjoy literally anything. It's a choice. Meanwhile, since judgment is so all-pervading in the society, within and without, it makes it tricky to identify and extricate yourself from its many tentacles. Judgment weeds are actually fast-spreading vines that will grow up on and over many things, quite choking the life out of them. Wisteria does this. For now, just watch. That is all. You need mind's assistance to really master this challenge. You also need some distance from mind. Mind can't even imagine a non-judgmental reality. So it can learn to identify judgment, but it has no idea of what non-judgment is like. That we find only in heart or in source. It seems to me that unless you really and truly accept this reality, that source is totally non-judgmental, you won't be successful at this work. So do consider that. If everything else you're doing to master this isn't working, look at that. Now, I step out here. This is one of the first times I've ever seen myself saying, you really need to do something. I'm just mostly reporting on my own experience and understanding. Uh, but I totally respect free will. I don't believe I've ever tried to force a belief on you before, like I seem to be doing here. But of course, don't accept something just because I say it. Just open to the possibility that it may be true. Okay, back to the journal. Do you know what unconditional love feels like? Have you ever experienced it? Most of us haven't. Do you know what it's like to be with someone whose love you couldn't possibly lose? It'll help if you do. Meditation on unconditional love will set you up nicely to better identify judgment when you see it or experience it. It's the opposite of unconditional love. Well, it's a major contrast. Love has no opposites. There are levels and layers of judgment so extensive they seem almost to be infinite. Now, of course, they're not, but it's that all-pervading in our part of the universe as to seem so. It's something that Prime Creator has allowed. It goes very much with free will and choice. You are unconditionally loved. Most people can't even imagine what this is like. So when they cross over or are having an NDE, a near-death experience, they are floored by it when they encounter it. I come the closest to experiencing unconditional love here in 3D by listening to some of their NDE stories. I've put a link to a playlist full of them in the transcript. I come close to it by reading these people's hearts, their energy. And you can do this too. We all can. Stick with heart. All of our power is centered there. Imagine being fully known, all the little hidden things too, inside and out, and fully and completely loved, not in spite of being known, but because of it. Imagine a love so magnificent, so all-encompassing, that it simply cannot be breached. This love is fully unconditional. Nothing matters to it but simply you, loving you, nothing else. Imagine being loved like that. Drink it in, which is from heart, of course. Well, the first thing is, you are loved like that. That's how Prime Creator's love is. To that one, you are simply and totally adorable. Even if your name is Hitler, my friend. No exceptions of any kind. Stay out of the head. Stick with heart. Total unconditional love. Let yourself feel that. Bask in it if you can. Leave all thought behind and just feel, just sense. You see, this isn't something you need to create or to imagine. It is totally real. By imagining it, you can literally contact it, step into it, be enfolded. It will blow you away. And next, there is something you can actually do about that. Can you guess what it is? Let's see if you guessed right. You can love yourself like that. Turn to yourself and see from eyes of heart just how completely beautiful, how adorable you really are. Don't allow your thoughts to enter into this in any way. Not one tiny thought of any imperfection, supposed imperfection in you, is allowed. That is mine. Being judgmental. Kick it out. Tell it to just go sit in the corner with the dunce cap on for a while you bathe in the glory, in the joy of unconditional love. Let mine just watch. As you spend time with self, capital S, higher self this way, absorbing and being absorbed into that love, more and more, any judgment that you encounter will stand out and be obvious. It is such an affront to this love in which there is no wavering of any kind for any reason. None at all. You are loved that way, and you can experience it too. Further, you deserve it. You are divine. You are that. My friends, our programming to be and to think ourselves anything but divine, anything but loved like this has been harsh, intense, unwavering. It's been laid down in many layers from different angles and endlessly reinforced. Most people walking the face of the earth are steeped in this energy of judgment. They don't realize it. It's so common, it's been made to feel that it's normal, just a part of the scenery, being so natural that it's expected and accepted by one and all. Well, that was the way of it, but not anymore. That was how sleeping, hypnotized sheeple handled life. We are not that. That whole thing is quite over, with one big catch, though. Each one must make their own personal choice about this. Not only that, but we must make it again and again and again as any judgment flows into our now. So it takes being both inwardly focused and in heart, toe and alert. We must watch closely and observe. I think this one simple word, judgment, is a whole world of change for you if you choose it. Let your vision soar on the wings of possibility, my friends. Please don't limit yourself, not in any way. You can do this. You can master this energy if you will only stick close to heart. How can I say this? Because you have mastered it already there within heart. It's a done deal. We're not reinventing the wheel here. All time is simultaneous, and though we, with our 3D apparatus and avatar, don't quite get what that means while we're here, our higher self does. And we are all multidimensional. We exist right now on the higher planes too. We have mastered this there. So let us be about widening our experience, our definition of self. Expand that self-definition to include being divine. You'll find this way more than useful. It'll come to your aid in many ways that can't yet be imagined. Try it on as a new belief, and you'll soon see what is meant. It is powerful. Wisdom is really simple. There are a few basic understandings that so permeate reality and are so clear on the higher levels and in heart that it's amazing how uncomplicated things really are. It's mind that complicates things. And for a while during our 3D incarnations, that was fine. It was even enjoyable. Well, it's just not fine anymore, huh? We're going home and we want to get about it and intensify that greater reality here, now. And we can be in heart. Be simple. Don't let mind complicate things. And when you see something complicated, be highly suspicious. It probably isn't or doesn't contain much truth. Mind tries, but it just can't imitate